Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Spiritual Talk TV. We are back again here at Wednesday morning. We post every Wednesday morning a new video, so look out for that. If you like what we do on the channel, please support us by subscribing. If I get my hand right, the little button below here. We'd love your support. Anyway, let's get on with the show. We've got another fantastic medium here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, please let me welcome Scottish medium and AKA shoots from the hip, Clara. Hi, Clara, and welcome to Spiritual Talk TV.
Hi, Paul, and thank you so much for inviting me this evening. I'm so excited to be here, but nervous because it's such a big show.
Bless you, bless you. Thank you. Well, we love having you here, and thank you for agreeing to come on. We are in for a bit of a treat because we've been talking before we went to air, and there's some great topics that we want to talk about. So stay tuned for that, guys. First of all, we always ask that question: how did you get, or how did you know you was a medium? How did you get into mediumship?
Well, it's probably the same old story you hear from a lot of people, i.e. I knew from I was a kid I was different, which to me is just a mantra now. People say out there, but from a kid, I didn't have the imaginary friends and things, but what I did know was there was more to life than heaven and hell, because I grew up in a born-again Christian family. But some of my other family were Catholic, and so with the priests and things like that in the family. Whereas I was this little sore thumb that questioned everything, and I also kept seeing different things in front of my eyes and hearing things, even when people had passed over, like my gran and things. I'm going, this isn't normal. And I'd say to mum and dad, and I would talk about Noah's Ark for talk's sake, and I'd say, so how can all these animals from all over the world go into an ark? And back in the day, you could get a little tip and it'd be shh sort of thing, and I was like, this can't be normal. And I was like, these stories aren't real. And who's this Moses? Why is Jesus talking to a burning bush? So these kind of things. And then I went into the Lazarus scenario, how it is rose for the dead and Jesus rose for the dead. And I says, Mum, these people are going somewhere. Yeah, heaven. What do you do in heaven? You walk the pavements of gold. What else do you do? Don't know, you have to wait until you get there. Okay. What do you do in hell? You burn. But how do you know? Oh, you definitely burn. Okay. And then I would just ask all these questions, and it was getting to the stage it was enough. I used to go to Sunday school. I was sent there. I was eventually put out because I asked too many questions about this heaven. And then I got to the stage, and why is God a man? I mean, why a man? Why not a woman? Why not a bit of energy? And I said, because the man's a house everywhere else. Is that why it is? And it was like, oh my goodness, child, be quiet. But mum and dad were so good, and up to the age of 16, I said, right, I've had enough of this baloney. I'm not coming back. Because even from my young age, I noticed the politics behind churches and chapels, what we have in Scotland, and even down in England, the Church of England. If you were favourable with money, you were in with the in crowd.
Oh.
If they didn't have money or something to give, they were a no, always everyone is God's child and we don't judge.
Yeah.
But it was there.
Yeah, it's just such a shame. Absolutely. But so Clara, yeah, we got a bit of a delay. Apologies for that. But so growing up as a child, you asked so many questions about, well, the spirit world in effect.
Basically, and as well, I always used to say to Mum, I started reading lots of books when I was young. Sometimes my friends would want to go out and I'd say, I'm not going out, I want to read a book. And I was reading all different cultures about meditation, what was meditation, and then I learned it was a discipline, how to quiet your mind. And then when I was reading all these different books and different cultures about what's this unseen world or worlds, so to speak. And then through all this reading education, so to speak, I started learning how to quiet my mind, learn what the pictures were, learn what I was seeing, and then starting to realise my journey here on Earth. Not what my journey is, because I don't think anyone's really found that out, and that includes the psychologists of the day, your Carol, your Jung, your Freud, Swedenborg. They've all done the exact same. However, it was like, why are we here? Do I believe we're here in a school? No. Absolutely not. I do believe that's a mantra. What I do believe in is, after reading all the different cultures and things, we're here to be kind. I believe that's what I believe, but we're also here to educate each other and say we're not alone in this earth.
Yeah.
There's more to this earth than skill.
So am I right in saying you pretty much questioned everything?
Everything. I mean, I done it, must have been just before COVID, with a minister. I have a twin brother, and my cousin introduced us to him. He's going to be the new minister of the church, evangelical. Well, that was me started. My brother, he just thinks everything's amazing. He says, but the Noah's Ark, how did that work? And what is God? And it was omnipotent. He's part of the universe. He says, my brother took that in. And I said, right, wait a minute. I started doing all the questions about the Bible. Is it real? Have you read your philosophy back in the day? And this guy's going, no. I'm going, well, who is God? He's omnipotent. He's in the omni-universe. And I'm going, I know what the word means. I says, but I want to know who God is. And then I says, is the Bible real? Because we've got so many translations. And then I went, is Winnie the Pooh real? When do we teach our child that's not real?
Yeah.
And eventually got to the stage, he said, are you going to keep asking questions? And I went, yeah. I went, because I want to know why Corinthians in your Bible says, use the gifts of the Spirit, which was 7 gifts. So we've got our senses, haven't we? So to me, I put that towards your senses, your intuition, then your mediumship. And I says, where did Jesus go to this ministry? He went to heaven. Where's heaven? So I went back down that line. Do you know what got to the end of the conversation? My twin he's just standing listening, going, Claire, because they call me Claire, Sunday name. And I'm going, and the minister says, tell you what, he looked at my twin and he says, James, why don't you come to church on Sunday night? And he went, all right, okay. He says, what about Claire? And he went, no. He went, you asked too many questions. No. I went, and I looked at him and I says, but are we all not children of God? He said, yes. I said, so would I not be invited?
Yeah, and that's really sad. It kind of says that some people don't even understand, and I think that's true for all humanity. We don't really understand who or what God is. And what God is to me is different to who God is to you. And sometimes people have difficulty explaining that concept. In terms of your mediumship then, Clara, how does God relate to you in your belief system around what you do? That was a really big question.
Belief system is...
Yeah, it's a really big question.
Absolutely. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, so God for me is not a person. Okay, because I cannot justify at the moment, and I've not found evidential proof that God's a man. Apart from, if you look at every culture, start from the day of Buddha. Then we went to Buddha, the pagans, then Christianity. And if you look at every one of these religions, they begin to look at, say, Islam, Muslim world. Man was, and Socrates, who was the head of the family? Man, the dad.
Yeah.
So to me, that's where God sits then. So that's where the man scenario came from. To me, God is God's within us all. The anagram, we've got good. So God is within us. But also, I look at it as a being out there, some sort of spark of energy. That's what I feel God is. It's a spark of energy. And then we have to have that spark within us and practice our good. And that's where I take my mediumship from.
Because it's really important to have, and I know mediums that are working, and this isn't, I'm not sitting here on my high horse criticizing anybody. I'm certainly not. And everybody is a unique way of working. But I do know a lot of mediums that don't necessarily understand faith or belief in God.
They don't.
How does that sit with you?
It doesn't sit with me like you. It doesn't sit with me because what I'm seeing is mediums at the moment all jumping on the block, which has always been the case. You get it in every religion. Mediumship is a bit more magical because we work with the unseen world. So they think it's magic, but they're not doing their education. I'm beginning to hear, like, the UK, we're the only ones that do mediumship, and that's nonsense because it's been going on since the beginning of time. They won't educate themselves. And if you even say to them, have you looked at that? How would you work with this? How would you do that? How do you work with the brain? How do you work with your own energy? What do you do? They can't answer you.
Yeah.
And then before you know, we're the mediums that are the bad mediums, we're the old-fashioned mediums that have to get with time. Mediumship can be dangerous in the wrong hands because we're working with sometimes vulnerable people that have lost someone. They're looking to maybe speak to their child, for talk's sake. And here we are, we've got mediums sitting going, and I have seen this, ooh, take that away from me. Now, if we have this God energy, the divine, when in one hand they're saying they go to love, and the other side, well, why would they come back and give you this rubbish energy?
Absolutely.
It's just a contradiction what they said.
But it's more about the person, isn't it? It's more about the ego, though, Clara, isn't it? Rather than the actual what's really happening in that connection. Yeah. I mean,
yes, it tells you their identity, what they're like as a person.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me personally, I've always found mediumship to be stronger in a church than say in a public venue like a community centre. I've always, because of prayer, affirmations, philosophy. And I know, how long have you been working as a medium, Clara? Because I know you're not new to mediumship, are you?
No, 29 years.
Wow.
I took a break for 5 years after I had my brain aneurysm, brain operation things. I took some time out. I had to take time out to rest and then come back. Funny enough, I said I wasn't coming back to mediumship. Round about mediums, I said I was going to go alone again because I was just fed up. As you know how it goes. Yeah. Every industry has politics, have criticism, each other, judging each other. And I thought, I can't get back to this. Yeah. Do I think part of that was probably why I had the brain hemorrhage looking back? Yes.
In terms of stress, is that stress though, Clara, that's caused that?
Yes, there was stressful, obviously. I was looking after my mum, who she was really sick. I was working 2 jobs. I was constantly in and out of churches doing mediumship. And then in between it, you had the stress of the constant backbiting. And with aneurysm, and they put that out, the aneurysms as well, they can get down to stress. That's what causes them. And I do believe constant.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm sorry to hear that you had that experience.
I know that's going to sound controversial to a lot of people. But as far as I'm concerned, they can think what they like. If they're medically trained and they're neurologists, then they can make that call.
Yeah.
But that was a call made by my neurologist that's stressed.
So there's 2 things at play here. I mean, and if we're all honest, we know there's politics within mediumship. There seems to be a natural competition. Now, I think we need to turn that on its head and try to find a solution.
Yeah.
So in terms of competition, because someone said to me, well, you're the teacher, no, I'm not. I always view myself as a student, even if I'm running a circle. I'm still learning from my students. I'm still learning, yes. I still feel like I'm at school, and my philosophy, I will always have that. And interestingly, I picked that up from somebody who taught me, that I will always be that student. Yep. And I think it's really healthy to have that attitude. So therefore, humility has a role to play within mediumship. How do we roll that out? How do we adopt that?
We don't. To me, it goes down to the good old cliche, I want to save the world. We want to save the world. We can't. What we can do, we can work within our own home and our own circle, and all we can do is, if we lead by example, like social learning, hopefully people will follow that, but we don't have control over them.
Yeah.
But as long as we deal with our own house, so to speak, then that's fine. We can't change people. We can only try and say to them, look, we should be supporting each other, celebrate success, and be shown to lead by example. And as you say, I'm the exact same as you when I mentor my students. I learn from them. Every day's a learning day. And I aspire that one day when I leave here and I pass over, I want my students to be better than me. So they can say, oh, she's away. Nanny McPhee, they call me Nanny McPhee sometimes. Mary Poppins, Nanny McPhee. And they'll say, well, do you know what? That was students and they are better than her. That is my dream.
Yeah, and that's a wonderful thing. Okay, I wanted to kind of touch on, if you don't mind, that personal experience you had with having the aneurysm, because we both have had a neurological problem, and for me, it changed my whole life, how I viewed life.
Yeah.
How did that change? Did it affect your mediumship with what you experienced, and how did it, good and the bad, I guess I'm asking?
Yeah. From a mediumship point of view, well, when it all happened to me, funny enough, I knew I had an aneurysm, but I could not tell the doctors. The amount of, as you know yourself, debilitating pain, the headaches, everything you go through. And it was just per chance I'd done 2 readings. One, the communicator came through who had an aneurysm, passed over. The other one survived one. And I just looked at the girl that survived it and I went, my goodness, this is what I have. And I had to wait in the debilitating headaches again. And it happened in work one day and they went straight to the doctors and somebody took me. It was that bad. The doctor put it down to migraine. Blah, blah, blah. Fast forward, it all happened. And one night it happened, I was up in Edinburgh at a night of mediumship. I even came through a workshop and everybody used to say, take water, you're dehydrated, but it wasn't. It was what they call centennial bleeding. So it happened that night in Edinburgh. When I went, I had died twice on the table. I was told, because I looked so well, walked and talked eventually, they said, you'll in and out in a week. 4 weeks later.
Wow.
And I even got out a week early with the promise somebody would be with me 24/7. I died twice on the table. I was on life support. They were going to switch it off by the Wednesday. But I woke up on the Wednesday. I was on adrenaline, noradrenaline. I was on that for a solid week. I had vasospasm. It was just horrendous what I went through. I wouldn't wish it on a soul. However, I find my mediumship get better. Because my mediumship, I started noticing it evolving to where I was completely in the room now. When I'm with someone and if I'm coming to like the end of life, as you know, Paul, we have to be careful how we deliver that with the emotions. I now find myself sitting right in the room at these final moments. And I found myself only twice this has happened now, whereas if I'm inside the body of the communicator telling their story. That's only happened twice, and I could tell who was behind me, who the family were. When I was in a wheelchair, I can't remember everything, but I just remembered that one. I went, wow, I've never had that before.
That's beautiful.
So it is completely different. It has calmed me down as a person. Per se, my personality went back to front. It has wiped part of my brain. When you have a brain bleeding, your skin, it doesn't heal. If you cut your skin, it would heal. That part's gone. Just corroded, gone. So that's changed. What I did find, I was more tolerant to spiders than I was people when I came out. And I was like, that little spider, save it, save it. I didn't make any things. It was just so different where I'm normally, oh, put that out, get out, just get it out.
Yeah.
Don't care what you do with it.
So did you find life got sweeter in terms of we being aware of our mortality, that we realise that we don't have a finite time?
Yes. that's what I find. Mortality was a huge thing. I was quite teary for a while, and it doesn't matter if we're mediums or whatever religion anybody's on, you're still faced with your mortality. And the thing I didn't want was to leave my boys behind being so young.
Yeah. 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 Oh, I can feel that emotion.
Yes, life is sweet, as in, it's funny, people, yes, I'm less tolerant of people that maybe moan all the time, i.e. they've got a cold and before you know it's every day. I wouldn't tolerate it, and it's not about because I've been through worse, it's just like life is so precious.
Yes.
You're wasting time moaning an hour or 2 hours here, where you could be sitting there looking at something good, or having a nap to get that, restore yourself and keep it back that good life.
See, I always remember my granddad, and he was in his 80s when he passed, and he said to me once, I always thank God for every day. And this man, I didn't know at the time, but he'd been through the Second World War, he'd been sunk, he'd been on Dunkirk Beach, he'd been through so much, and here he was in his 80s. And I didn't know until 2 days before he died, and he said he wanted me to have his medals. But there he was telling me that he says every day he thanks God for each day. Whether he got that from what he'd been through, I'm assuming it was that. But that's kind of, it makes life so much more under the microscope, but also a lot freer that we can, and having that experience, we both had the similar experiences. I struggled with my minutiae of life. I struggled with people getting upset over little things. But I kind of, I do feel guilty of going back a little bit into that, but I tell myself off when I do, because I don't want to be that person anymore. But it is such a profound experience that you've had. I kind of want to say you've had a second chance.
Basically, it was a second chance. Because like I say, I died twice on that table. And I thought, oh, here I am, and everybody was there. And don't get me wrong, we laugh about it now, and I say, no, everybody was there just to check who was getting the life insurances, who was getting our pension. Is she still here? Sort of thing. But it was a big second chance at life, and I do think, like I say, I believe God's an energy, and I just thank the universe that I'm still here to tell the tale. I don't believe in that, well, I'm still here. I should be grateful when people say that, getting into toxic positivity.
Yeah.
Because I lost so much. I lost my job. I had to take my pension. I'm not allowed to drive now. I became a new me. And that took a long time. I had to grieve that as well.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. So you're losing so much in between. But I gained time. Ironically, I gained time.
Yeah, absolutely. And making that count. So let's talk about mediumship. Okay. So why do people have so much trouble understanding the difference between psychic and mediumship?
Because a lot of people, they won't go to a mentor. Oh, I'm going to put this out there. Some of their mentors don't know themselves. I've actually sat and watched, and I certainly don't mean it derogatorily. However, if a mentor does not know the difference, how do their students know? I've had somebody come to me and sit with me in my mediumship development group. I'm trying to watch it. I don't want to say her name. But she actually said to me, she's been in circles a couple of years, whatever, and she says, I never knew the meaning of mediumship, what it was, until you explained to me a few weeks ago. Because when I was watching her work, and I actually went, wait a minute, I went, this is all psychic. Now you've started medium, went to psychic, and she went, I don't know the difference. She was so honest, and that was lovely.
Yeah.
And I just said, that's the difference. And she went, wow, I didn't know. Now, watching her work, what a difference it's night and day.
Okay, Clara.
So that's why.
I was just going to say, sorry to put this on you. Can you tell the audience, so people know, because there's to be so many people watch this interview that won't themselves know the difference between the two. Can you just give us a brief explanation?
Yeah, mediumship is basically, you're describing who you have. You're giving the evidence that only you and your client or sitter will know. That person. that family or their friends, whatever. Psychic is what's going on about you in your life, or do you want it to do a psychic reading, look at challenges and guidance on your home? Tend not to go to relationships, but your home, your job, are you going to move, holidays, things like that. It's all different emotional ties to the life will lead the material. Evidence is who you have, i.e. I would have your dad would show me, blah, 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 this is what you did. However, dad then, say for talk's sake, dad had an eye problem, okay, and I want to go to one eye. And so you're then starting to describe this and you're building up your emotions, your conversation with him. And then he's starting to show you who he is. Even if you can see, for talk's sake, a ring, you'd then be looking at what finger was that ring on? Not just can you take a ring. What finger was the ring on? Was it on the thumb? Was it on the wedding ring?
Yeah.
Did that ring then have a pattern on it? So you'd be looking for that pattern. If it didn't, it didn't.
Yeah.
That's mediumship. It's got to be so specific, and I call it nuggets.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is it a shopping list? No. No. You're not going for a shopping list, because I wouldn't like someone I don't know to say to me, hi, who are you? What's your name? What do you do in life? What was your life story? Whatever. And I'd be like, I'm not telling you. Thing. So it's a case of having that relationship, that what we call rapport, and just waiting on your communicator and sitting there.
Yeah.
And then starting the conversation.
I mean, it's taken me a long time to realize there's so many different levels of evidence. It's quite layered. And I think the relationship between the person in the spirit and yourself is a very personal one as well, even though it's a three-way contact.
Yeah.
For the medium that's the bridge in between the two worlds, it is a very intimate, personal conversation, because they're sharing with you thoughts, memories, and ideas of their life. And sometimes, like this afternoon, and this is where I'm quite hard on myself, a lady was telling me that her daughter put a note into the coffin. I wanted to read that note. I wanted to know what it said. What poem was it? But I didn't get it. But that's me. I kind of want to push myself to that point where I can, even if the poem was a specific poem that I could just name, you know, I wanted it, but I couldn't reach it. So I was a bit disappointed in myself.
What I believe in that, Paul, is if you were meant to read that, she would have showed you. Okay. So to me, the evidence enough is the fact that you knew that note went in the coffin. Because not a lot of people will even get that. They don't wait on the information. They don't have those pregnant pauses. So the fact that you got that is huge. And I'm positive 100% she would have been over the moon.
Oh, I hope so.
You showed beyond doubt. We showed beyond reasonable doubt. Because not everybody does that nowadays. And as well, if the communicator wanted you to see that, then you would have saw that.
Well, this is the thing. So this is why I beat myself up, because I saw her start to write the note. And I knew it was in beautiful writing, and I knew it went in with mum. But then I had dad with her as well. So I had to make sure it was mum and not dad, because it could have been the other way around and I could have got it wrong. And this is where, with mediumship, and I'm really quite passionate about this, that we need to be honest with ourselves and the recipients we have in front of us. And I think people will respect you more for your honesty. There is this whole air with mediums that they're from God, and you know, they create an illusion that isn't real. There is no such thing as 100% mediumship.
Correct. Funny enough, I'm notorious for saying beyond reasonable doubt as opposed to proof. And the reason we say that is even in science, scientists do not prove anything.
Yeah.
What you'll find in maybe a newspaper or the media, you'll have an expert will say this has been proven. Okay? You can't prove anything. The easiest example I can give you is for toxic tigers, lions, tigers. You would take people saying all tigers are vicious and will kill you. You don't know that.
No.
Because not every tiger or lion in this world has been tasted. So if you maybe do like out of 10, 8 become aggressive and try and kill, you would say studies suggest or claim.
Yeah.
And that's how it works then. So scientists don't, that's why I'll always say it's beyond reasonable doubt that you've given enough proof that if you're in a court of law, an employment law, that's enough to know that's somebody's family. Because how can you then say, like you had my mum, Paul?
Yeah.
And you're telling me, and I'm like, wow, get so emotional. But then eventually, if I went, but really prove it, you couldn't pull them out the wall. You couldn't pull her out of the wall and put her right in front of me. So that's why I'm careful with my wording at the moment. I don't know where I got it from. It was only the past few months I started really thinking about this. And I thought, I'm thinking about this for a reason.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And something's going to come out somewhere about mediumship proving, and I do feel there's going to be something coming out about cases about mediumship again that we have to be careful where we're wording.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only that, Clara, you've done a lot of work on the psychology of the mind.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that for us, please?
Well, again, the positive from the brain hemorrhage. Funny enough, when I was a kid, goodness, I could go on all night. I've always believed as well, your words become reality.
Yeah.
Especially with emotion. And when I was a kid, I wanted to be a doctor or a psychologist at the age of 10. I got my wish, but not how I wanted.
Okay.
I wanted to retire in my 40s. I even said that when I was a young kid. I got my wish, not how I wanted.
Yeah.
So that's when I decided I'm going to study psychology and counselling. Open University. My neuros were all against it because they said it's basically would kill me. They said it's just too exhausting for you. Yes. Was it exhausting? Absolutely. Was it more or less killing me? Yeah. But in psychology, you learn so much of the brain. And it's something, you learn that, you learn maths, you do a lot of maths, you do a lot of statistics. And quite funny enough, I thought, I didn't sign up for that. So to think, I was like, I didn't expect all this. Learning the brain, learning the anatomy, how the spine and brain affect temperatures, memories. You learn every part of the brain.
Okay.
Sort of thing, and what it is. Which then links into mediumship. And we've got this thing that the cultural myth, psychologists and psychiatrists think we're psychotic schizophrenic. No, they don't. Because you've had parapsychology in the UK since the 1820s. So again, bear in mind what I said earlier, science doesn't prove anything. Science is always looking to disprove, so you keep getting funding, so you can keep testing.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And if you went to keep a psychologist, I'm hearing voices, whatever, the questioning, you would have to go through open questioning or Socrates questioning. And then eventually when you got to the bottom of it, you would say, oh, so you're a spiritualist, or do you go to church? Where do you go? Whatever. So that's where, and I bring some psychology into, especially the brain, into mediumship, because we're working with the unconscious part of the brain. It's getting through your mind eye. Like, what does Eiffel Tower look like? Within seconds you've got that picture. That's in your unconscious.
Yeah.
And then when we do that, then we talk about memories, like again, mediums out there that go, take that pain away, take that away. Now, bear in mind, personally, I find that horrendous when you do that, because again, personal responsibility. You've got someone sitting there that's lost a loved one. And
okay.
At this point, it's like this person, a medium, they're terrified.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've had experiences where I know when someone's had the heart attack because I feel it. I'm not going to lie on the floor and say I'm dying. But again, that's about the blending of the energy and the more physical phenomena that we feel with the contact. Yeah, it's
blending with the energy, and it's also one of the easiest ways I can give it is how your neurotransmitters work and the synapses start travelling so that your ears feel everything. If I say to you just now, hand in an upside down plug, stand in the prongs. Ouch. Within seconds you felt that. Or touch that electric ring on the cooker that's bright red. Within seconds you can feel that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like a false memory has from your neurotransmitters. Well, a real memory I've given you, not a memory, a whatever situation I've given you.
Yeah.
Within seconds your brain registered that and sent you a quick linky pain. That's what happens for the medium world and unseen world. They'll maybe show us something, or they'll maybe say that was my last memory, and that's why we get that sleep trigger.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense? And I know
It does.
you, Paul, you would deliver that.
Yeah, but there is this process of mediumship coming through. Was it Carl Jung that talked about the superconscious mind, conscious and subconscious into conscious mind? So
That's Freud.
Was it for okay, and the connection with the subconscious, which is where the mediumship gets caught up, I believe, because you're kind of lacing some of the messages from your own experience. And I was always told that spirit will also use your experiences within your subconscious or your conscious memory of analogies. For example. Yeah, so for an example, if they're trying to give me a name, so symbology is really important. So they're trying to give me a name of someone and I'm not hearing it. I might see the rose.
Yeah.
So it can come in so many different ways, which is why evidence is such a pivotal and critical part of your connection, that we process the information in an appropriate manner without lacing it with information that comes from our own story. Now, there's a trick. How do we do that? And this is why we go on courses. This is why we work on ourselves. There's no shortcuts, is there? There's no shortcuts in mediumship.
Paul, that's it. There's no shortcuts, but what we're seeing at the moment is people want to take shortcuts, and unfortunately it's just like anything else when you do, whether you're at school, there's no shortcuts going to school for kids. They can do all their schooling, secondary school, whatever. If you're doing a degree, you don't have a shortcut ever. If you're going shopping, you've got a shortcut, you've got the internet. If you're chatting to someone now, you've got a shortcut, you're online. Holidays, then there's your shortcut. The thing that, because that's instantaneous, it's a shortcut, then we've got this sort of cultural myth out there that people think mediumship's a shortcut. Yeah. No, it's not. And this is why we're seeing all this mediumship at the moment. I'll let you say it. I've said enough.
So what you're saying is not the standard. It's not the standard that it should be, basically. And let's be honest, okay? Now, again, it's not a criticism, because this leads into my next question. How does a student know when they're ready? Now, some people, Clara, I know teachers have said to their students, you've got to go out and work as well to experience. Yeah, I get that, because, I mean, when I first started reading, I'd say to people, look, I want to practice. Can I use you as a dummy? Can I use you as a guinea pig? If you bring me a bottle of wine, I'll read for you. So, you know, if I got it completely wrong, no harm was done, and I wasn't impressed or calling myself a medium out there. Because I do believe when you cross that line of taking someone's money, you've got to be, there's more responsibility to it.
But that's the Consumer Act as well, then, isn't it? That then comes into it. You've got the Consumer Act.
The legal side, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, you're taking money. But also, goodness sake, I forgot. I've lost my train of thought again. As we brain does.
Yeah. No, I'm feeling your pain, because I get that as well. And my son just calls me an old duffer. So sorry, Adam, if you're listening, but he does. But I do get that, and I had that. I had about 15 MRI scans over a period of 10 years, and they're not great over a long period of time. But there is no shortcuts in mediumship, and I guess what I'm asking as well, any advice for those students that can, you know, that are on the fence, that are, am I ready to go? Am I ready to work? Or do you think also financial pressures come into play?
No.
Okay.
Right, okay. When it comes to a student, well, saying that, it depends each individual life. as a student ready to work, the way they have to see that, first of all, would be looking at their mentor. I'm a great believer, first, if your mentor puts their head in the line and reads for the students and says, look, this is an exercise we're going to do, but they have to be able to do that exercise as well.
Yeah.
Then they can start learning that exercise and do it. When the mentor, now it's not down to a mentor per se when they're ready to work, because how many mediums, Paul, have we seen that are amazing and mentors have actually kept them back? Would I say, I feel that a student would be ready to work when A, they know what emotions are, how to deliver emotions, how to watch their client or recipient, and like that could be in Zoom, a lot of them in Zoom, they have to gauge with their client and know and feel that connection. If they're not getting yes, no, don't know. Also, if the client could be in tears and they've not noticed that, they ain't ready to work. Yeah. Absolutely not. Also, you have to be PC correct, culturally helpful, correct. There's so much. So much theory behind the scenes, and I can be quite a bore with it. However, it's fact. Yeah. That's the problem, it's fact. And I've took Natalie. Natalie sat with me for 2 years. 2 years, and she's what I would call a natural. However, I didn't take her out to work. She sat and she listened, and funny enough, as you know, Paul, listening skills is a huge thing in mediumship. And what we're finding at the moment is when we're doing something or we're helping someone or, well, but that's what I got. Yeah. So you tell me I'm wrong. And it's a constant like, what? It's like, no, we're not telling you you're wrong, but we're just saying, look, why don't you look at it this way? And be careful how you talk to people. Yeah. So Natalie sat for 2 years, and last year I said, right, she was given the evidence, just wow, it was outstanding. The emotions were coming through, and she was aware of the sitters and clients. I took her out there in public with me, but this one was an event where the public were socialising. And a couple of girls went, I said, right, we'll see how you go. When do you want to go? Do you want to wait on me or do you want to go first? I says, whatever you're comfortable with. A couple of other girls went, oh, just put it up. That's what happened to us. I says, in a church, that's different. There's more support. Yeah. I says, not the public. No. So she waited a couple and then she went, that's me, I'm ready. And there it was, that she worked away, and only one little bit she went, and I honestly, I totally love her for doing this, and I so admire her. In the public domain, she actually says, I'm not sure of this one bit. Do you know, that was amazing? She was so aware. Yeah. Wasn't it? Playing with people's lives. So, and now that's her out public.
Do you think as well that when you do go onto the platform, onto the rostrum, that you are also tested by spirit with some of the more difficult communications that come through?
I don't believe spirit tests us. I believe the recipients test us.
Yeah.
Because, like, say for talk's sake, my mum, or if I had lost a child. Yeah. Why would my child or mum come through to you and make your life hard when all they want to do is talk to me? Yeah. What I do believe is it's your clients that can make it difficult.
Yeah. I always love those that can't take it on the night, and then you get a message, I'm so sorry, that was my granddad, completely forgot his name was Harry. You know, that kind of stuff. I love those kind of messages, but it happens. It does happen.
It does happen, but have you noticed now, Paul, and that does happen, we get that. We don't get it a lot though, as you know. It's like, but you'll get the odd one will come back and go, wow, that was right. But normally, if they can't take it, as you know, Paul, we'll get back and say, right, okay, leave that with me just now. I'll take accountability, but leave that with me and we'll sort it out. And then, like I say, if we can't I'm so sorry. And then they'll come back. But I'm finding at the moment, I'm seeing it quite a bit at the moment, it's always, I'm hearing a lot of mediums saying, don't worry, you'll remember in a couple of days.
Yeah, that's easy though, isn't
I'm
it?
seeing a lot.
Yeah.
It's easy to say that, and it's easy to say, I'm not taking it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do have to take it back. Because as you said at the very beginning, we can get it wrong.
Yeah.
And as soon as we take accountability for that, it's easy.
Yeah. The only thing I find, the deeper the evidence you give, a lot of people are like, they look at you like, and then especially you start giving names, and they're like, no, don't know. And then they realize it was their brother. Well, sorry, their brother's best friend who died, and it's like, okay, but so you kind of stun people sometimes with evidence, but it can also have a bit of a shock.
Yeah.
And that can, and I always say, because there is a delay. If people start, I'm not sure, and they go off, then you're trying to wait for them to catch up because you want to get in the flow and just give it. So that can be a problem as well. But Clara, how do you personally deal with the no's?
Easy. What I do now is I'll just say, right, okay, give me a minute, let me get back. And what I'll do is I'll take that pregnant pause that when we're teaching our students, Paul, could even say to them, this probably feels like 100 years or hours when it's only seconds. When I get the no, I'll just sit and I'll wait, and either my next picture, my next word, my next feeling, and then I'll get my next bit of evidence, and then I'll be able to place the no. If I get 3 no's at the very beginning, then I'll say, I'm not with you. And I know for a fact I'm not with you. Sort of thing, because I won't start making it fit.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's really important as well. Recognizing when you're not with the right person, and that takes practice as well. Absolutely. And now, platform mediumship is not for everyone. What do you prefer, platform or one-to-one?
I enjoy one-to-one for the intimacy, or that when you're doing the reading, you're chatting one-to-one, but also when you're finished the reading, some people maybe just want that chat or a laugh or whatever. I enjoy that part. The platform I enjoy, but I feel it's very cut and dry. When you're finished, you're finished. That's you. And people, again, it's a cultural thing. Everybody's there and, hi, how are you? And then when you're finished, it's like, see ya.
Yeah.
And I find that quite cold at times, Paul.
So that leads me on to another question, really, in terms of one-to-one mediumship. Do you think mediums do enough to work with grief? Now, we are not trained counsellors.
I am.
But you heard it here first, everybody. But there needs to. Do you feel there needs to be more work done with mediums that claim to be a counsellor? Now, forgive me for saying this. There is like an element of this because, and it's recognised well by kind of definition with grief counsellors by bringing evidence of life after life. There is as a release to it. There's a relief that our loved ones are still here if we can prove their existence. So, but how can we as a movement, not just yourself, not me, but as a movement, work to improve that aspect of our profession, if you like, for want of a better word?
I think, again, it's all about saying and being honest. And basically saying, look, I'm not a grief counsellor, but what I can do is I can suggest where you go. Because, yes, to me, it's like speaking to someone you don't know. You've met them maybe out, you're having a coffee, and suddenly they've told you they've lost someone, whatever, yada, yada, yada. Now, you're not going to give them a reading, however, you're just going to sit and listen to them. And then you would say, well, why don't you go to counselling? Why don't you look at this kind of thing? And this is for mediums, to me, what should be happening, because so many are saying, we're like counsellors. Yes, I get that, because we're listening, but they're not counsellors. It's going into dangerous territory, and some mediums have to take ownership. Some people will come to you that don't even need a reading. They just need somebody to listen to them, validate them.
Yeah.
That's that. And I have done it with quite a few people, quite a lot actually. And I said, look, you don't need a reading. You just need somebody to listen to you, to validate how you're feeling, but also listen to you because you're grieving. And go through the 5 stages of grief with them. We'll talk about that, and then I'll say, why don't you speak to a GP, get referred to mental health services, and I give them all the different numbers.
Yeah.
And I could do that. Yeah, could I do it myself? Absolutely. But I don't.
Yeah.
So mediums have to take accountability now, because my worry is something's going to go wrong. You cannot just go into Groupon and get one of these CPL certificates or whatever it is for counselling, or grief counselling or voucher.
On Groupon?
Yep.
Okay. Which, for those guys in America or Australia, Groupon is an organisation that sells vouchers to get things that are items at a reduced price. I'm not sure. Counselling available on Groupon?
Absolutely. You also had was it a CBT diploma thing? I think it was something like 200 quid when I was looking at it.
That's kind of
to be a CBT therapist.
Wow, that's like the next one up.
7 years.
Yeah. It's like next one up from Lucky Dip. See what we can win today. You're a trained counsellor. It's going to cost you. Yeah, it just doesn't fit right to me. But then, okay. But all joking aside, it is a good thing that they are trying to help with that. They're trying to push with that. And here's another great question for you. What would you like to change within mediumship, or what is it we're not talking about within mediumship that we should be?
What we're not talking about that we should be is, not everybody can be a medium per se, depending on their life circumstances. Mediums also have to take ownership and stop this telling everyone they have anxiety or depression, because that's a medical diagnosis. And that's quite huge in the scene. And also we're hearing quite a lot of, and somebody around about you have to be careful.
Yeah.
That's a no-no. So that's not even mediumship again. And sometimes that could be self-projection. Maybe they've got something going on in their life. Yeah. And we spoke earlier on, what else should we not be doing? Can't remember, Paul.
Yeah, no, that's great. That is a great answer. But where can we find you if we wanted to book a session with you for well, you don't just do mediumship, do you? Do other things too?
Yeah. I do events, I run events. Obviously, I do charities, but I don't speak too much about them because that's just something, as you know, Paul, it's you do it and you don't say nothing. So I do a mentorship. I've got a close circle and also do one-to-one mentorship. And normally people just, it's always been word of mouth or Facebook, and I'm waiting on my website getting built that I'm eventually saying everything through to Richard for. I had a website last year, but I just, again, took it down. I used to have a Facebook business page when I used to work before the brain stuff, so I was doing dual employment. Again, I don't even use that because it was just word of mouth.
Yeah. So what is next for you? That's the main thing. What is coming up for you? What is next?
Well, I've got a few events coming up I'm going to be working on. I've been asked as well to help out. There's a couple of kids' things to get money for charity for them. So I'm going to do that. I've got a few mediums coming up this weekend to visit. So this will be fun. Karen and Neil. And that's what's coming down. And then it's just, again, continuing my own development. I'm looking at maybe doing a master's now, psychology or counselling. I'm not sure because I don't know if my brain, funny enough, would cope.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you've got lots going on. But before that's the main thing. Absolutely. Can I ask you? I know we had a chat before the show. Can I ask you to to share the experience you had with your mum, if you don't mind, with what you saw that night. Do you mind sharing that? Thank you.
Yeah. Goodness, even thinking about it again, that is sort of your memory. It's like, wow, sort of thing. Okay, now my mum, funny enough, she leukemia for 12 years. Okay, so she fought her leukemia, whatever, blah blah blah. And then again, she had a cut in her arm, and I just knew. Again, it was skin cancer. I just knew, and I thought this is going to be the beginning of the end. Went to the doctors, whatever. She waited months. Yep, there it was, skin cancer.
Okay.
And I just knew that was the end of October. So coming in, my mum had like caught an infection in her chest, whatever, and she was really, really poorly that night. And the living room was off her bedroom. And I says, look, Mum, like, her breathing was horrendous, and it sounded like that death rattle. I was terrified for her. And I says, look, Mum, I'm just going to lie on the sofa tonight, and that way I can see in at you'll be sleeping. No. I went, look, Mum, just let me lie here. I said, just in case you need a drink in the middle of the night. That's how we get round about it. Right, okay. She eventually fell asleep with this sort of thing. It was awful.
Yeah.
So there I was sitting, everything going through my head, and I thought, right, I'll try and sleep. I turned my back and I like to cut into the cushion on the sofa, and the next minute, I don't know what made me turn round. I turned round, I looked up at my ceiling, and the next minute, all I saw was these colours. It was like gold, white, pale blue. It was just the most beautiful colours ever. But this was coming down and growing out the way. I was terrified. Now, like I say, paradoxically, it was beautiful, but I was terrified. So with this thing still growing out the way and coming down from my ceiling, and I'm going, oh my God, I had my eyes closed. At this point, my hands up. Oh my God. Don't swear word came in. Go. It wasn't that go, right? So you can imagine the words I was using. Just go. Oh my God, please. So there I was doing all this as you do, like a kid under the blanket, a horror film. The next minute I'd done that, and I looked back and I went like that again. Well, it was getting bigger. It was starting to grow out the way in my full living room. The next minute I went, oh, leave me alone, and let out a scream. The next minute, like a vacuum, it was weird. It just went and sucked right into the ceiling.
Wow.
Now, as much as I say this was beautiful, I was terrified. Now, I'm not an airy-fairy medium. I'm constantly educating myself on what goes on out there and galaxies and the quantum and whatever. But this, and it was the next morning I got up. Now, I was scared to sleep that night. Okay, now bear in mind this was my mum passed 2015. This was in November 2014. Okay. And I was terrified to sleep that night. I eventually fell asleep. I woke up in the morning, and the first thing I thought of was Lorna Byrne done the book Angels.
In my
What was
hair?
Lorna Byrne's book?
In my hair? Angels in my hair. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Now, I was given that book when my little one was 10. Okay, when he got type 1 diabetes. That was the first thing that came into my head, and I thought, really? And I'm going, was it an angel that was growing in front of me? Was it? To this day, I don't know. And I always say, I'd love to see all these kind of things, but I can assure you, if that was an angel, beautiful, but a terrifying experience, because it's not airy-fairy that we think.
It's very powerful, I'm told, and there's a real power behind the angels. People think there is this, like you say, this airy fairy. I don't want to say an illusion, but there is this concept because they're angels. You're going to suddenly, like a Disney film, it's going to be all flowers. But there is, I'm told, this real power with them. I mean,
Mhm.
not really had the experience. I've kind of seen and felt presence, but I can't for sure say that was an angelic being. And to have that is quite, well, one, it's a very beautiful experience, but also powerful as
It
well.
was. Yeah, it's weird explaining it. It was beautiful, powerful, as you say, and scary at the same time, because it's
Yeah.
like, I've never experienced that. I've seen, as you know, the mirages and whatever. I've seen all that with our loved ones, but nothing like that. And I went,
Yeah.
wow. Looking back, it's like, right, I thought my mum was dying that night. Now, I told a couple of close friends, and one of them says, you were dreaming. And I went, oh, I wasn't dreaming. I went, I'd only literally closed my eyes. I says, I wasn't dreaming. I said, twice I had to turn round. So angels are not airy-fairy.
So do you think the angel was coming for you or for your mum? Because you was in a particularly difficult time having to care for your mum, and your mum didn't ask, which we always say maybe that the angel was coming for mum, but your mum didn't pass. Was the angel coming to you to help and support you?
Yes, that's what I believe. That's what I believe. It was more about helping to support me, because funny enough, the word cancer is such a powerful word no matter what type. And my mum had come through leukemia for 12 years. The minute they said skin cancer, and I just knew, I thought, this is beginning of the end. And I cried for weeks, and then watching her, and then just that night, I'd been sobbing all day.
Yeah.
I could cry.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. It's really personal, and so many people will get comfort from that. Okay. I don't know, some guys might think it's a UFO, but I don't believe. I believe the colours, the golds and the whites, and connect a higher being for sure. But Clara,
I could actually find it online, the colours, but not how it happens, if that makes sense.
yeah.
But it came down and started growing out the way. It was going to take up my full living room.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, no, you're not. No, you're not. And, you know, Paul and MD knows I'm not airy-fairy, and I've always said, I wish I could see this, I wish I could see that.
Yeah, because
I was like,
yeah, someone told me you support Celtic, so I'm not sure how true that is.
oh, they're going to win on Saturday. My big prediction, Sunday, should I say? Sunday.
So we've had mediumship, we've had your personal journey, and now we're getting predictions on Celtic winning the cup. Clara, it's been such a privilege to interview you. Thank you for agreeing to be interviewed. We've loved having you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, because I just adore your show, and I love watching you, the way you interview people, because you're so calm, and it's quite supportive as well. You don't feel lost. So thank you.
Pleasure. Don't be put off by, don't be fooled by this cool exterior. It goes wrong quite a lot. As Carly in the background, who's been producing our shows, has had to find out with the cutting on the cutting floor. She's been cutting out a lot of outtakes, but thank you so much for that, guys. And we'll be back. Don't forget, we're back because you're on SPTV, aren't you? And we are bringing you live onto SPTV in a couple of weeks. I'm not sure where this will go out between the show, but guys, if you've watched this first, it'd be great for you to come and ask questions, especially about that personal experience. And hopefully we can do a couple of live readings together. That would be really good.
Absolutely, Paul. I would love to work with you. Absolutely.
Awesome. So stay tuned for that, guys. We'll be back on SBTV very soon. But for now, we're here on Spiritual Talk TV. If you like what you see, guys, don't forget to subscribe. And we'll see you very soon. Bye for now, everybody.